I wasn't born with anxiety. I don't have a generalized anxiety disorder. And that's what makes me the most upset about making this video. That this is something that I was not even born with, but for months of my life, it was debilitating. It ruined my life. I couldn't feel like myself. Every day felt like something I had to get through. I didn't feel like my old self. I wasn't happy. There was always something wrong with every moment. But because I can sit here and you can be watching this, and I could have said I missed my old life, I missed who I used to be, I missed the man I used to be, I missed the guy that could talk to anyone and not feel insecure about himself. Because I can sit here and tell you that I am better now, that I do feel like my old self, that means you can too. And therefore you should watch this video or just listen to it with excitement, with enthusiasm, with a good future outlook, because you too can get better if I could get better. So I want to share my 5 processes, 5 things that really allowed me to again feel like myself. And you should feel excited to return or become this new positive person that's more bubbly, that smiles more, that's more laid back, that feels calm in stressful situations, that doesn't let this little parasite in his brain affect his day-to-day life. And that's who you can be, and that is who you should be, and who I will help you get to. First, we need to understand our anxiety and what it even is in the first place. Because for a while, I saw my anxiety as this monster in my brain that was just this horrible part of me that I just hated so much. But it's not. What anxiety is, in as simple terms as I possibly can explain it, it's a survival mechanism that lets us survive. Because if our ancestors weren't anxious about the right things, they would have gotten killed. When we're anxious, certain chemicals are released in our brain that will cause a fight, flight, or freeze reaction. So throughout the day, you're either going to be in fight or flight, or you're going to be in what's called rest and digest. And that's what your body should be doing all day. Resting and digesting, recovering from the day, building the body back, repairing muscles, and digesting food so you can absorb all the nutrients. And what should happen is when there's an enemy or something trying to attack you, or you're in danger, you enter fight or flight mode. So fight or flight is a survival response. But what about when there's nothing that we need to be running from? What if we can't escape this thing that we need to be fighting or fleeing from? That's where modern life kind of ruins things, because it's normal to feel anxious with a falling boulder or something, or a tiger is chasing you. That's normal, that's good. You should even be grateful for your anxiety, because that keeps you safe. We need it. Modern life doesn't require us to be anxious about being killed by an animal, or getting crushed by a boulder, or falling down a cliff, or anything like that, for the most part. So we start feeling anxious about normal everyday things like talking to people, or a math test. So anxiety is no longer this faceless monster that needs to be put away with, that we should hate so much. Instead, it's even something that we can be grateful for keeping us alive. We have to understand anxiety is nothing more than an emotion, because that's all it is. It's an emotion. It's a physical sensation in your body. Now, it's not a pleasant sensation. Your body is telling you, yo, you are not safe. You need to get out of here. Something is not wrong with this moment. But of course, there usually isn't anything wrong. We're just anxious for no reason. But anxiety is not this mystery, faceless monster. Your brain and body want you to be alive and safe. Thank you. But if you have this anxiety that kind of exists for no reason, or isn't related to certain things, you just feel anxious, how I used to feel, there's a good chance it's trauma-based. And I won't get into what happened to me, but what does happen, what's actually happening, is you're put in this stressful situation. It could have been life or death, it could have not been. But you could not, your fight or flight was activated, and you felt all the symptoms of your anxiety, but you couldn't escape it. Maybe it was in your head. Maybe someone was attacking you and you couldn't fight back. And now, because your brain would rather you be anxious and alive than dead, you're in a perpetual state of fight or flight. Your brain and body are now on edge, because anything could hurt you. And the last thing, the very last thing your brain and body wants is to be in the situation you were in when you got traumatized. So anything and everything is now a threat. No wonder you're in fight or flight mode all the time. And speaking of fight or flight mode, let's talk about the nervous system real quick. In our nervous system, there's something called the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. It's where we want to be. You feel fine. You feel good. When your sympathetic nervous system is activated, you don't feel good. You're in fight or flight. Your brain and body think you're in danger and you feel anxious. So a quick thing to remember is, how can we get into the parasympathetic nervous system? How can we activate that and stay away from this sympathetic nervous system? I'm going to get into that. So when you're in this constant fight or flight mode, you feel anxious and you're not resting and digesting. Your muscles aren't repairing themselves better. Your body isn't sleeping as well. You're not digesting your food as well. And imagine what that's going to do to your physical and mental health over weeks and months. You cannot live with this shit, man. You cannot live with this. Something needs to be done. Do you want to stay? It's a rhetorical question. You don't want to stay in the state where you don't feel like yourself and you're this completely different person, the person you were maybe just months ago. It's not right. We can do something about it. I am a case study that you can do something about the anxiety that you weren't even born with. And even if you were born with it, I believe you can do something about it. Because what does that belief even do? What if you believe you can't do anything about it? Oh, well, I have anxiety. What am I going to do? You need to believe that this can be changed, and it can. If I was born with this, I still would believe it could be changed. So we'll start with the first way to calm the mind down. And that's using affirmations. The first affirmation I would use is, I'm talking to myself in my head or sometimes out loud, and I'd go, I am safe. I'm good. It's okay to relax. What this does is your brain needs permission to relax. Your body needs permission to relax. I'm going to interchangeably use brain and body, by the way, because for the most part, they're very closely related. Because your brain isn't stupid, and it's not like your brain is a separate entity. I don't even know. I'm going to confuse myself if I keep talking this way. But the point being, if your brain and body hear you saying that you're good, you're safe, you've relaxed your body, you're okay to let go, you are safe, the brain's going to believe you. Because if you were not safe, if you were getting attacked by a tiger, if you were getting jumped by someone, you're not safe, you're not good. You're not going to be thinking to your brain, okay, we're good. Activate the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. No, you want to be in fight or flight in that situation. So your brain's going to be like, okay, then he must be good. If he's telling us that he's good, he must be good, because no one's dumb enough to act like they are good when they're getting attacked. You can't even be thinking when you're getting attacked. You're just adrenaline running away or fighting for your life. Anxiety, again, is nothing more than an emotion. An anxious mind is a completely different thing, but anxiety is an emotion. I remember I switched gyms around 9 months ago. And at my old gym, I would have episodes of anxiety that were bad. I'd be in the middle of my workout, I'd be thinking about some things that would just make me feel crappy. And I did not want to be thinking about. So I decided I needed a new environment, partially, and I decided to change gyms. And around the times I changed gyms was around the time my anxiety got better. So I'm not going to say that this was the cause of my anxiety getting better, but it did correlate in a time frame. And what I saw is that I recently went back to my old gym for a workout. And you know that time, like if you smell perfume that you used to wear, like years ago, you kind of get flashed back for like a second and you felt how you felt when you were wearing that perfume in your life. It's like that. I went to the gym and I got a little flashback of the way my mind was and how I was feeling those times when I was anxious. And I simply told myself, I'm safe, I'm good, you can let go. I don't just say this once, by the way, I say it over and over and over again until I like feel it, like, okay, I am safe, I can relax. Another affirmation I used was, thank you, brain, I've got it from here. This one is a little more playful and lighthearted and even has some gratitude in it, which again, I think you should be grateful for your anxiety. It's a very necessary part of our lives, and without it, again, we would not exist. You need this anxiety because God forbid you are getting attacked. You need it. You need that sympathetic nervous system. Of course you do. There is real power in telling your brain certain things. When I'm coaching people that have self-esteem issues and I tell them, is it not true if I tell you, think about a pink elephant. Pink elephant just popped in your brain. You can't really control it. And even if I told you, okay, I want you to think about a red snake, you have the imagination, the creativity, and the power. You are simply capable. You are simply capable of thinking that thought, of having that image in your brain. You can do it. So what this means is that you have the power to implant certain thoughts in your brain that will make you feel relaxed, that will make you feel more positive, that will make you feel more grateful and present. Again, when I coach these people, I tell them, think only positive thoughts if you have the choice to. We can't always choose the input of our brains, but when a thought comes up that makes us feel like shit or makes us feel anxious, notice it, of course, let go, and then replace it. Implant that pink elephant. Think, you're beautiful, you're good, you're safe, you're smart. You are so worthy of so many things. You can choose whatever you want to think because you have the power to think about a pink elephant if you want it. You see what I'm trying to say here? Tell your brain and body that you are safe, because why would you not be if you weren't? That makes sense, I don't know. But there is real power in choosing the things that we want to put in our brains. You can become whoever you want to be. I mean, it's all identity, right? It's all about what you believe. Choose the thoughts that you want to put in your brain and become who you want to be. So let's work on calming the body, because the body and mind go really hand in hand, and anxiety as itself is an emotion. So because anxiety is an emotion and we feel this fight or flight anxiety when we're in danger, if we get our body in a state of not being in danger, it'll respond and our anxiety will lessen. So enter exercise. Exercise does two things. First, it gets you out of your head, which is where a lot of your anxiety is coming from in the first place. If you ever tried the Wim Hof breathing method, the reason it's so effective in reducing anxiety is because what it is you do a lot of breath, like fast inhales, fast exhales, fast inhales, fast exhales, and then you hold an exhale, you hold an exhale for like 45 seconds to a minute and a half. I don't last that long in more than one way. And there's no space, there's no room for your mind to be wandering when you're holding your breath, because you're so focused on just relaxing every muscle in your body. You're so focused on the sensation of really, really, really wanting to breathe and trying to hold off. There's no space to think anxious thoughts. If I told you, run and sprint for 30 seconds as fast as you can, there's no room or space in your mind to be thinking about anything else that could possibly be making you anxious. If I told you, go get a 15 rep max on your squat, you're not going to be thinking anxious thoughts. You're trying to really breathe and not pass out and puke. That's what exercise will do. And that's only intense exercise. And then on the plus side, your body rewards you for this exercise because it is a fundamental thing that we need to survive. You need to exercise. It's not like an optional thing. Everybody needs to be exercising or moving your body at least every single day. There's no excuse not to. It's fundamental. Your body and brain reward you with endorphins and you feel relaxed. You feel okay. And when your body feels okay or it feels good, your brain is like, okay, he's chilling. Why are we in fight or flight again? It's rest and digest. Here's the thing though. Intense exercise like that sprint or that 15 rep max squat, or if you want to do 100 meters butterfly as fast as you can, it does activate the sympathetic nervous system. Remember what I said, the sympathetic nervous system is our fight or flight mode. So Reece, why would we want to be activating our sympathetic nervous system? You said that's the one that causes anxiety. And yes, that's true, but here's the thing. You should be feeling anxious when you're intensely exercising. That's normal, not even anxious, but that system needs to be activated. You can't be in rest or digest when you're fighting for your life to breathe. I don't know, how do I say that better? When you're trying not to pass out because you need to be breathing. You should be in that sympathetic nervous system. We're training our body to be in sympathetic nervous system when it needs to be. I should not be in sympathetic nervous system right now. And I'm not, because I feel good, I feel fine. But if I am doing a 15 rep max squat, yes, give me more hormones, give me more like stress. I need that to push that. That is okay. So when the exercise is done, your body leaves the sympathetic nervous system because you're done with your intense exercise and you enter rest and digest. That makes sense, right? Because when we were exercising as tribal creatures, which we still are, by the way, I'm assuming we'd be hunting for our food or exercising as hard as we can in that sympathetic focus, like trying to get that, our prey. We get it, we eat it, rest and digest. Sympathetic nervous system literally into parasympathetic nervous system. We'd hunt, we'd exercise, we'd be gassed out, and we'd eat, and then we'd rest and digest. Like what a lion does. Lions sleep like 20 hours a day, and then they hunt and they sleep. We're mammals, dude. This intense exercise you could theoretically do every day, but it's so much easier to do it 3-4 times a week and then be moving your body, in the segue here, in lighter weights on every other day. Like for me, I lift hard 3-4 times a week and I'm in my sympathetic nervous system because I'm pushing every set to failure. But on my days off, I'm doing yoga, I'm going for bike rides, I'm going for walks, and I'm getting the same endorphin boost from that intense exercise to the less intense exercise. Exercise is exercise. The physical sensation might be a little weaker on the less intense exercise, but it's still there, and my body still relaxes after. And what you can do is you can make a ritual out of it. When I was feeling horribly anxious, what I would do is I'd go to the pool at like sunset, and I'd do light breaststroke. I'm not gonna do butterfly, I just wanna swim. And one thing I really loved about the pool, and I made partially a video on this, is the pool is one of the only places that you find silence in. You know, you go outside, you just hear cars and noise and traffic and everything. When you go to a public place, there's a lot of commotion, it's loud. A pool is a public place, but when you're under the water, even if there isn't that many people there, it's just silence. It feels great to finally get that break from all the noise. That's why I love swimming so much. I'd make a ritual out of it. I'd bike there and watch the sunset while I was swimming. Sometimes there's someone there, so I'd feel less alone. Make a ritual out of it. How can you make this boring light breaststroke something that you can really like? I cannot wait to go at 4 p.m. and go swim for a little bit. I made a ritual out of it. I made it mine. Make this yours. How can you make this work best for you? Again, like I said, other times I go with bike rides and I usually bring music, but I want to say something about the music really quick. I made a whole video about this. And a quick, simple, great tip is if you find you're anxious, listen to music, but not with headphones. Listen to music with a speaker outside of you, because those headphones and earbuds are not normal. It's not normal to be having music right in here and you can't really hear your outside world. Sometimes I used to have AirPods and I used the noise canceling on them and it would make me anxious. But does that not make sense? Your brain is literally like, yo, why can't we hear what's going on around us? We're not safe, and you feel anxious. Now the thing is, you might be saying like, oh, why do I feel anxious for no reason? But you gotta think, no. My body feels unsafe because I kind of am unsafe. You know, I don't really, you're not aware of your surroundings when you have music, especially noise canceling on. You're not aware of your surroundings. But by having a speaker or music outside, you can hear everything. You know, when we sleep, I'm pretty sure the only sense that stays on while we're sleeping, sound. Everything else shuts off. But it makes sense. You need to be able to hear these predators sneaking up on you. And I keep going back to these like tribal early human day metaphors and analogies. I'm not just doing that. I'm doing that because our brains that you're using to watch this video and I'm using to communicate to you is the same brain that we had when we were in the Sahara 10,000 years ago. It's the same exact brain. But again, when you have a speaker, I really just noticed like, oh my God, that's it. That is it. And I feel so much better and safer. Try it. And I really want to emphasize the value of a certain kind of light exercise that has saved me from panic several times. And that's yoga. If you've never done yoga before, I have a video on my channel, which will be linked wherever in the description and on the video. But yoga literally activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the system we want to be in to feel okay. So does light exercise. But what yoga does is there's usually tension in our body, like actual physical tension. Like sometimes you feel tight. And here's what I learned. Really quick, examine your body. This might be the first time you've ever done it, but examine your body. Are you tensed up? Are your feet clenched? Are your toes pressing against your feet? Is your hamstring and your knee like flexing into it, like lightly, but it's happening? Are you kind of like pressing your fingers into themselves? Your forearms are flexing now because you're trying to use your fingers. Is your neck tight? Are you pressing your teeth against your jaw? This is all tension. How do you feel if you just release it. Physically better, mentally better. Every time I was anxious, I'd be like, wait. I'd examine my body and I'd notice like, yo, I'm like tensed up, I'm tight. I release it. Do that right now, like tense up and release it. It's literally like a weight is being lifted off your shoulder. Try it. What yoga does is there's thousands of weeks of unstretched muscle on us. Like the most stretch most of us have ever done is like, oh, you're gonna go play pickleball, or you're gonna go do a little jog. Let's do a little forward fold for 5 seconds and then we can go. We do dynamic stretching, which is like, yeah, it's stretching, but it's not present stretching. We're not deep stretching for long periods of time. I'm not trying to have a superiority complex either, but with yoga, if you're holding these poses for 30 seconds plus, you're literally releasing these weeks, these like thousands of hours of tension from your body. You know how you were tensed up just a second ago? Because most of us are, we just don't even really realize it until we think about it. It's like the air conditioning in my house is on right now, and yet I'm still sweating. And if the air conditioning suddenly went out, you notice, you're like, oh, I didn't even notice that sound was there. It's like when you have tension in your body, or you're tensing up your body, you don't even realize that the tension was there until you let it go, and you're like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to feel. So yoga will combine meditation, which I'll be getting into in the next segment, and it combines the stretching of your muscles with so much tension is in your body. And now we've calmed the body, which can be done through intense exercise and light exercise. And I really want to emphasize yoga. Like, it has saved me in certain ways. Watch Yoga with Cassandra. That's probably a better channel. That's one I use. I hope, Cassandra, if you watch this, that you'll comment that. That'd be crazy. Not the point, sorry. So we've calmed our body now, but we still have the other side of the coin. You know, once you calm the body, your mind generally follows, but you still want to be able to calm the mind. But sometimes we're not in a place where we can do some yoga or squats or sprint really quickly. And I live by this phrase that this moment right now, 99% of the time, there's nothing wrong with it. If you ask me, if you were right there next to me, you asked me, Reece, what's wrong with this moment right now? Nothing. I'm well fed. I'm not thirsty. No one's attacking me. There's nothing wrong with this moment, and that's the case for 99.9% of our day. We should, again, be in rest or digest for 99.9% of our day. And literally, unless you're getting jumped by ninjas in the woods, then you have an issue, then you have a problem, then you're like, okay, yo, what are we doing here? But other than that, you're good. The present moment is the only moment, and it's your salvation. You can't wait for months and then be like, okay, now let's deal with anxiety again. It has to be right now. It has to be today. It's probably some kind of survival mechanism, but our brains don't want to be in the present moment. It's like our default state is mind wandering until you kind of reach a certain point where your default state becomes more presence. That takes months, years of meditation. But that doesn't mean it's too late to start, and that's where you want to be at. Our brain likes to live in the past or the future, and the past already happened, so you can't change it. The future hasn't happened. You have no idea what the hell is going to happen, so you're going to feel anxious. Imagine you have a public speaking event coming up, or you have a performance, a recital, or something that you're nervous about. Maybe it's even a test, or you're just trying to talk to someone that you think is cute. You could choose to relive this moment or live this moment thousands of times in your head. You could think about every possible way this could go wrong. I had a good example of this. I just recently had my private pilot check ride, passed by the way, and I could choose to live the check ride before it happened thousands of times and think of every possible way that it could go wrong so that I could fix it. And that's okay. But I could also just feel that, like, here's the thing. Your body reacts to your mind. And your body reacts to whatever your mind's thinking. That's why when you have an anxious thought, you feel it in your body. That's why if you're a guy and you think about something attractive, what happens? Fill in the blanks. You know what happens. Same thing for girls too, actually, just in certain kinds of way. I can imagine myself failing a check ride. I can imagine my check rider chewing me out. If I have a big performance, I can imagine messing up or public speaking. I can imagine the crowd laughing at me and it just not going any way. And I could live that moment 1,000 times in my head. But if I just decide to live it once by living in the moment, it only happens once. I only have to deal with it once. It's a whole different thing to imagine what's going to happen and only choose, like manifest it, like affirm that it's going to go well and be like, yeah, I got this, like I'm so good. And imagine it going so well, it probably will. But you must be doing that. You can't be thinking about this event and just imagining yourself failing thousands of times and feeling anxious every single time, because your body, again, cannot tell the difference between what's reality and what's actually happening. For example, if I wanted to talk to someone, like there's this person in my head that I want to talk to in 2 hours, I could psych myself out and think about it over and over and over and like, oh my God, I'm gonna talk to this person, I'm gonna talk to this person. And I'll probably psych myself out, I probably won't even do it. But if I go minute by minute, living in the moment for the next 119 minutes, I'll be fine. It won't even cross my mind. And that 1 minute when I'm gonna go talk to her, then it's like, all right, let's do it. But every minute, every hour, if your event you're scared of is in days, months away, you cannot be thinking about it now unless you're choosing to like manifest it and be like, yo, it's gonna go so good, like visualizing it. That's a whole different thing. But you must be doing that at least. Another good example of this is, let's say that my girlfriend broke up with me and you asked me, hey Reece, you okay? I could say, no, my girlfriend just broke up with me. And it's impossible not to feel grief in that scenario, but what you should be working to is being like, well, right now I'm fine. I haven't seen her. If I see her, it's a whole different thing. If I see her, it's like, ouch, right? But right now, when she's not here, she's not in the house with me. Why am I gonna let what happened, bring me down right now when nothing's wrong with this moment? Feel sad when the thing that's making you feel sad is right in front of you. Feel angry when that thing that is making you angry is right in front of you. Then you can feel angry. Give yourself permission to feel those kind of emotions then, but not when it's just in your head, because again, your body, the emotions you feel, the emotions in your body react to your brain, which cannot tell the difference between what is actually happening and what is simply happening in your head. There is really something to be said about living in the present moment. I truly believe the most beautiful moments of your life that will happen and have already happened have happened when you were present. And a very easy way to enter straight presence is by having this emotion called awe, of being starstruck. Let's say your wife or your woman is giving birth, if you're a dude. I'll get to the females in a second. And this moment where you should be supporting your wife and you should be like, oh my God, I'm about to meet my child that I created that is 50% of me. You should be, man, my dog is eating, damn boy. You should be excited. You should feel like, oh my gosh. But let's say you're thinking about your taxes. Have you ever gone outside and it's sunset and you look at the sunset and it's just so incredibly beautiful that you can't help your mind just shuts up. Or you go outside at night and you look at the stars and there's so many and you just are literally starstruck. The reason this happens is because the only thing that exists in that moment is you and the sunset, or you and the stars. There's nothing else, there's no bullshit in your mind. Everything else dissolves. And there you are with pure presence, and it's beautiful. Mind wandering is a completely natural thing. You might be starstruck and then a thought will creep in like, wow, that's beautiful. And that's an okay thought to have. But mind wandering is natural. Even the most trained Buddhist monks aren't present 24/7. They still have thoughts. You're supposed to identify with the observer of your thoughts, because if you think about something, is that you thinking it? Are you that thought? Oh. You're observing the thought. You know what I mean? It's like there's two wolves in your brain. One is the thought and one is the observer of the thought. If you identify more with your observer, you can kind of look at the thoughts and be like, yo, that's just a thought. And the reason we meditate in the first place, and this section of the video is about being present through meditation, is so we can be present outside of our meditation practice. And I have 2 videos on my channel, a 5-minute beginner meditation and a 20-minute meditation that's more advanced. You can check out both of those. But it's simple as this. With our meditation, we focus on our breath. Our mind is gonna wander because that's what the mind does. What we do is we notice the mind is wandering, that's step 3, and we bring our attention back to the breath, step 4. It's a 4-step process, and you use that with every kind of meditation. Be it on the breath, if you're doing a walking meditation, like you're walking and your mind starts wandering, oh, my mind's wandering, I'm supposed to be walking, back to your walk. When we're meditating, a thought will come up, and maybe it's a normal thought, and it'll be like, hey, what do I want to eat for dinner later? Chicken and rice. Okay. Then you're just like, wait, I'm supposed to be meditating. You bring your attention back to the breath. When you think anxious thoughts, what you do is you judge your thoughts, and every basic good spiritual teacher will teach you, don't judge the thoughts that come in your brain. They're literally just thoughts. A thought is a thought, regardless of how negative, neutral, or positive it is. Now, we want to lean more on positive because, again, your body reacts to the thoughts in your brain. So by having positive thoughts, you feel good positively. By having anxious thoughts, you might feel negative. But the antidote to both of those is the same. Thoughts can't have power over you. When you realize that thoughts are just thought, regardless of what they are or how crazy they might be, the antidote is the same. Just back to the breath. And you might be thinking about chicken and rice, or you might be thinking about something about like the universe, but the answer is the same. It's just a thought back to the breath. I want to emphasize how important, and for this second to last part of this anxiety guide, I want to emphasize how important social connection is, because we're tribal creatures. We still are. We still need people, because in our mind, if we don't have people, if we don't have social connection, we're dead. That's what being an outcast, that's what having no friends represents to our brain. You're dead. You need these people. That's how it used to be. If you got kicked out of the tribe, you're dead. Now, that's not an issue anymore, but the issue of still being lonely and not talking to people is the same. I can't tell you how many times I felt anxious and upset and not happy, and one phone call to a friend makes me feel better. One day of hanging out with my family makes me feel better. 1 hour of talking to my family makes me feel better. 15 minutes. Literally yesterday, oh my God, I was doing yoga at like a park, and there's not really anyone at that park. But the reason I started doing yoga at parks is because I wanted to run into people. I wanted to just talk to people. I wanted to, sometimes living in the suburbs, you don't really run into people outside of school, and I get lonely and I want to talk to people. So I did yoga there, and I felt anxious. There was like these people playing soccer next to me, and my anxiety dissolved, and I'll tell you how it dissolved. But it was probably one of the most beautiful evenings I've had in a very long time. So first there was these 3 dads and these 3 sons playing soccer next to me. I'm doing yoga, but when I'm doing yoga, I'm not like why are they ruining my session? That would be the total opposite of what you want, right? Instead, like, I'm doing the yoga, but I'm also watching them because it's entertaining, it's cute. It's like family, Everyone was being so sweet, and they would come near me and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." They probably thought I was some kind of like some spiritual hippie, but I'm just some kid. And I was like, "No, you're good. Keep going, keep it up." And then there's usually no one at this park, by the way. And then like 30 feet down, there's this guy, like probably 50 years old, and he's playing with 2 of his dogs. And these dogs are the most adorable thing ever. They're yapping and they're barking and they're chasing after each other. And he has a tennis ball, he's throwing it far, and I'm watching these dogs sprint back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and they're barking, but it's not like annoying barking. It's like, oh, they're so cute. And they were like twins, like they were from the same pack. They were sisters. And then the cherry on top was this mom with 2 of her children, and these children are like 1 and 2. And this totally reminded me that I do want to be a father, by the way, because they were just so freaking adorable. And I was doing yoga, and I don't know if the daughter like does yoga, like if the mom taught her yoga, but I saw her like looking at me. I saw her watching me do yoga, and like 10 minutes later, I was in downward dog, which is like your shoulders are like on the ground and your feet are on the ground. You're kind of forming like a triangle. And she did it too. Like I turned over, and she was like 50 feet away from me doing downward dog, and my heart melted. It was the cutest thing ever. And she was even doing 3-legged dog, which is when like you lift one of your back legs off and you kind of like imagine you were a dog marking his territory on a fire hydrant or something. You're a 3-legged dog. It's a yoga stretch. She was doing that too. My heart melted. And they were playing soccer, and they were using their little feet, and they would kick it like two feet in front of them. It was just the cutest thing ever. And that was pure presence. That was pure being starstruck. That was pure like, wow, like life is beautiful. There's a random park that I've only been to like twice, where I wasn't even expecting to run into anyone. I mean, I was still hoping. And I would have talked to all of them, but I was gonna finish my yoga, and then the the soccer people and the mom left too, and that left the guy who was playing with his dog. So I went up to him and I was like, oh, are they twins? Like, are those dogs twins? And we talked for a bit. He let me throw the tennis ball and I watched these dogs run like 50 feet after it. And that one interaction, me talking to him for like what must have only been 5 minutes, my anxiety dissolved. Combine that with me being starstruck and present, my mind shut up, anxiety dissolved. But I really want to emphasize how important that one social interaction is. Like, it was around sunset too, so I had to change location, so you're gonna see more of my messy room. But the point being, a little bit of social interaction will dissolve your anxiety. You might be anxious about talking to people, but ironically, the thing that you're anxious about is the thing that's gonna save you. You need to talk to people. You cannot be secluded and use your anxiety as an excuse. Your social anxiety as an excuse. You can't. It's the thing that'll save you. Again, one phone call to a friend, one conversation with your family, one interaction with a stranger, combined with presence, you'll kill your anxiety. You'll destroy it. It's nothing to you. So this is the anxiety guide. You gotta calm your body, calm your mind, and socially interact. So those 5 parts, but they all kind of merge together. But I can confidently say that my anxiety is gone. I'm back to who I used to be, and I'd say I'm better. I kind of went through hell and back to become who I am, and I'm really happy about that. You can too. Life is not something that we can just accept as, oh, well, this is how I am, and that's what I gotta do. No, you need to make this change yourself. You have the power to become whoever you want to be. Create this new identity and just follow these guys. And if you have some advice, leave it in the comments, please, because I'm sure I haven't gone over everything. Of course I haven't. And some other people that will need it will really help them out. Please take care of yourself and have a beautiful rest of your day.